dedicated to southern and eastern Kentucky. This is WYNT Mountain News at 5:30.
Good evening, I'm Steve Hensley. On this day last year, we were dealing with torrential rainfall that eventually caused historic rises along parts of the Kentucky River. On March 2nd in Lee County, the river crested at just more than 34 feet. It's a level that had not been seen since the late 1950s. Now, 1 year later, most of the town is back to normal, but there is still more work to be done. Adam Burniston is in Beattyville tonight.
After last year's historic flooding, around 100 families and 80 businesses had been displaced in Lee County alone. And now a year later, while most areas are back to normal, some downtown Beattyville buildings remain vacant.
Some places have never come back yet. And, you know, hopefully they will, I don't know. It's just been hard on everybody.
But what has made them all optimistic during this time of recovery this past year is how people have stepped up to help out.
Everybody come in and helped everybody. I mean, we couldn't have done it without people helping us.
Now, even though things are mostly back to normal here in Beattyville nearly a year after, there's still some more work to be done to recover from that historic flooding.
Congressman Rogers is sitting there and he's trying to get some earmarks of money so we can do a study to find a way to keep this from happening, not just here, but in Owsley County and Breathitt County and Letcher and Leslie County and on down into Estill County.
And with this being Severe Weather Awareness Week, Todd Hill says their teams have also spent this past year improving their plans and practices if flooding or any other disaster were to happen again.
And what I have seen over the last year is incredible leaps and bounds in them being proactive to anticipate what's coming. In other words, hope for the best, but they are always planning for the worst.
In Lee County, meteorologist Adam Burniston, WKYT.
During last year's flood, Cottle says some parts of downtown Beattyville saw standing water 7 feet deep at the time the river crested. After nearly a week, the man accused of killing a former state representative's daughter during a home invasion is in jail. 23-year-old Shannon Gilday was booked into the Madison County Detention Center. A deputy spotted him around 4:30 this morning on Barnes Mill Road. Kentucky State Police arrested him. Gilday's arrest comes on the day Morgan's family and friends laid Jordan to rest.
We're just thankful for the community, the people, other agencies, all the efforts, and everyone just remaining vigilant. And with their help, you know, we were able to apprehend him, and you know, hopefully we're closer to bringing this to a resolve.
Gilday faces multiple charges, including murder and first-degree burglary. It's likely he will be arraigned as early as tomorrow. A Kentucky lawmaker is making a push again to legalize sports betting in the Commonwealth. Today, Republican Representative Adam Koenig filed the legislation. It's one of a handful of gaming-related bills filed today. Representative Koenig says it is estimated $2 billion are waged illegally in the country, adding Kentucky has been losing out on millions. Governor Andy Beshear and Ohio Governor Mike DeWine announced plans to jointly apply for $2 billion in federal funds to build the Brent Spence Companion Bridge and improve the existing bridge. The bridge carries Interstate 71 and 75 across the Ohio River between Covington and Cincinnati. Each state will pay for the approach work on their respective ends of the bridge. Current estimates are more than $1 billion for Kentucky and nearly $1.5 billion for Ohio. The project will be paid for using a mix of federal, state, and local dollars if grant funding is secured. They hope to make updates to the bridge to help with the congestion, traffic, and bottlenecks that often happen there.
Watching just a few high clouds push into the mountains this evening. After earlier we didn't see a cloud in sight. We're watching a few of those high clouds move in now, but the only thing that's going to lead to is beautiful sunset as we head into the final hours of February. High-knob camera UVA-wise, you can already see some of the color being acquired by those clouds there on the right side of your screen. Sitting at 52, so we're above normal. Actually, we're right at normal for this time of year. Buffalo Mountain camera here in Perry County. I'm just going to go ahead and put us on sunset warning because it's going to look beautiful out there as we head over the next 30 to 45 minutes as that sun approaches the horizon. It's going to be a beautiful picture in the western sky as we head Down to the temperatures map, well, it's a mild one. Mid and upper 50s around the region yet again as we head into the day, or into this evening, I should say, as afternoon turns into evening. You can see those high clouds pushing into the region from the north and west. Notice no rain associated with this system at all. High pressure keeping things dry. So if you're headed out to any of those region tournaments tonight, I know we're now about 25 minutes away from tip-off of the girls' 13th region tournament at the Corbin Arena. We're in the mid-50s out there now, but we're going to cool off as we head into tonight. So grab that jacket because you're going to need it as you're headed out of the various arenas and coliseums over the next couple of days. I'll have the very latest on when we finally return to some 60s for daytime highs coming up in just a few minutes. Steve?
All right, Evan, thank you. After 5 hours of talks, Russian and Ukrainian delegations agreed to resume negotiations in the near future, but the fighting still rages on. A senior defense official says Russian forces could attempt to encircle Ukraine's capital of Kyiv in the coming days. As average citizens join the country's military to fight to defend itself, President Zelensky has applied for immediate membership into the European Union. The United Nations estimates 500,000 people from Ukraine have already fled to safety. World-renowned chef and humanitarian Jose Andres brought his World Central Kitchen to the Polish border. They are serving thousands of hot meals at several crossings in Poland and Romania. The effort is also supporting chefs inside Odessa, Ukraine, where fighting is underway. Those who made it out are hearing it's getting more difficult to leave. When it comes to the war in Ukraine, your kids may have a lot of questions and concerns. Cleveland Clinic pediatric psychologists say kids of any age can be bothered by what they are seeing. The images can show up in nightmares and night terrors. Researchers say it's a good idea to monitor what children see and guard against showing disturbing images to younger children. If a child has seen something upsetting, psychologists say to ask lots of questions to gauge what they know and how they feel.
If you see things or hear things that either you wonder about or that just are kind of scary, let's talk about it. Help them normalize those thoughts. It's okay to feel kind of scared that this is happening in our world.
Psychologists say sometimes doing something helps lessen a child's anxiety. They suggest making a card for someone in the military or praying for the safety of people in Ukraine. West Virginia Governor Jim Justice signed an executive order to stop the purchase and sale of all Russian-produced liquor until further notice. 4 brands are sold in that state. The West Virginia Alcohol and Beverage Control Administration office estimates there are approximately 73 cases of Russian liquor in the state's warehouse. We're also hearing similar moves by other states' governors today. It is a turning point in the pandemic. State leaders are updating their masking guidance as COVID cases continue to drop across the nation. Nationwide, new daily infections are down 96% from last month. Hospitalizations have fallen by 70%. On Friday, the CDC changed the way it determines a community's risk level of severe COVID. Under the new guidelines, more than 70% of Americans no longer have to wear a mask indoors. New research shows seniors with Alzheimer's disease and related dementias faced higher risk of death early in the pandemic. The study looked at more than 53 million Medicare enrollees 65 and older from March through December 2019 and 2020. The death rates for those with dementia was 26% higher compared to the same period the previous year. It was 12% higher for those without such diseases. The study says nursing home lockdowns and fewer inpatient health care visits may have led to the higher death rates. Tomorrow, President Joe Biden will deliver his first State of the Union address to Congress. Historically, the speech offers presidents a chance to highlight their priorities and agenda, but much of that is taking a back seat right now as the Russia-Ukraine war rages on. Still, it's a critical time for the president as he works to manage a shaky economy and nominate a new Supreme Court justice, all while the pandemic drags on. Even preparations ahead of the speech are intensified. U.S. Capitol Police put up a fence around the Capitol grounds as they prepare for possible protests by big rig truckers in the coming days. The U.S. Supreme Court has agreed to hear a major Native American child welfare case. The court will consider whether the Indian Child Welfare Act of 1978 violates the Constitution. The law requires state adoption agencies to place Native American children with relatives or families of the same tribe when possible. It was passed to stop a crisis in the mid-1970s when a large number of American Indian children were separated from their tribes through adoption or foster care placement. Supporters of the law say it is essential to protect the stability and security of Native American tribes. Critics say Congress exceeded its authority in passing the law and that some provisions violate equal protection principles. The death of a dog can feel just as devastating as losing a family member. Now, researchers at the University of Washington think they've found a drug that could add years to the life of a canine companion. CBS's Naomi Ruckham explains.
9. Stormy, the chocolate Labrador retriever, is in love with the hunt, and her human, Kevin Medved, is in love with her.
We love our dogs so much, and we appreciate everything that they've done for us.
Stormy is now part of a new study that could extend her life up to 3 years. Researchers at the University of Washington studying the drug rapamycin say early tests in rats, mice, and dogs show the drug slows the aging process.
You can take an old heart or an old immune system, treat a mouse with rapamycin for 8 weeks, and see that function improve. I know it sounds a little bit like science fiction, but when you actually look at the data, it's quite remarkable.
Dr. Kaberlein, a dog owner himself, is now leading a large study involving nearly 600 dogs around the country. Researchers say this study could have implications for human lifespan as well. Dogs actually age like people, experiencing many of the same age-related diseases. The FDA has already approved rapamycin for humans. It's used as an anti-rejection drug for people receiving organ transplants.
It hasn't been tested in the context of lower doses in otherwise healthy people. There really are very, very little in the way of side effects and potentially pretty significant benefits for age-related functional declines and diseases.
Medved doesn't know if Stormy will get the placebo or the actual drug.
I mean, another, 3 or 4 years would be great, and anything beyond that is gravy.
With hope that every dog owner may get a little more time with their best friend. Naomi Ruckham, CBS News, New York.
Coming up on Mountain News at 5:30, after Saturday morning's draw, the schedule is set for the 13th Region Basketball Tournament. We give you a sneak peek at tonight's games, which air live on HNI and WYMT.com.
But first, we're in meteorological winter's home stretch, and spring-like weather looks to be winning out. I've got the very latest straight ahead.